Now let's look at some other simple animation effects that you can create with a loaded image. I've got a few examples in the effects.html sample page. Let me show what I've set up by loading it. So here again is one of my simple graphics, and I just want to animate it by clicking one of these buttons so I can make it grow or shrink. I can move it to a specific location, and I can even animate it around the page by clicking this button. And you can see that it moves around, appearing to bounce whenever it meets one of the edges of the web page, and I can resize the page and it will continue bouncing off the new edges. So let's look how I've done this in the code. Well, first of all, here's my div called image div, and the image source that it contains is just my happy face GIF file. Now at the top of this HTML file I've set the style for the div to position absolute. That's required so that when I move the div I can place it at specific locations, X and Y locations on the page. And the animation is in fact done by moving the div which contains the image. So let's have a look at, first of all, my init function. The init function simply gets the reference to the div in the familiar way using getElementById, and it sets its default position left top and its height and width. Now when I click the various buttons, these other functions are called. First, grow it just sets a different height for the picture and a different width. Shrink it does the same thing, so that's fairly simple to understand. Move it, that's the one that moves it to a specific location, simply sets the left and top of the div, in fact, that contains the image. So again, that's fairly simple to understand. Now, this is a more complicated function here, animate it, and this is the one that is called when I click the animate button to make it bounce around the page. Let's see how animate it actually works. It looks quite complicated at first, but it's really just an adaptation of the technique that I've already used to move the div. And what it does is it moves the image diagonally across the screen until it meets the edge of the browser window, and the edges are determined by reference to document.body.clientWidth and document.body.clientHeight. Those are properties that are assigned to the W and H variables. Now when the top edge is met, a variable go down is now set to true, and from then on the image is moved downwards until the bottom edge is met. Now this becomes true when the value of the variable vertpos is less than the height of the document, that is, the visible web page. Vertpos here represents the bottom edge of the div, that's the one that I'm moving around that contains the image, and that's calculated as the position of its top edge plus its height, so that gives me the location of its bottom edge. Now the variable goRight is used in a similar way to reverse the horizontal direction when the left and right edges of the browser are met. So it makes it look like as though the image is bouncing around in the browser. So let's just quickly look at that again. And here it goes. So as you can see, it's really a pretty simple bit of code that I've written. Just it repeatedly calculates the location of the image, and each time through animate it, through the animate it function, it just changes those positions. And once again, in order to repeat the movement, I've used the set timeout function to call repeatedly the animate it function.